some of the ancient tools are beyond extraordinarily beautiful. And I think there's a fabulous history and biography of tools being significant. And I think the majority of our manufactured environment is characterized by carelessness. It's that everything that has been made, there's a biography to it, there's a story to it, and it exists really at the end of a whole bunch of decisions. And most of those decisions were driven by price and schedule. And we have genuinely tried to make products that don't stand testament to that sort of development process or don't stand testament to those values. They stand testament to us desperately trying to make the very best product we can, because we know someone is going to sit down and stare at this screen and he will sense, he won't be able to articulate it, but we hope that he will sense the care that went into it. And I do believe we're capable of discerning far more than we're capable of articulating. I remember we discovered this when the iPod started to actually sell in some sort of volume. And we'd been doing some fairly reckless things like finishing the inside of the iPod. That cost money and it cost time. And we did it just because we thought it was right, and we had a theory that people would sense that amount of care was invested in the object. But it was a theory. And when the iPod started to sell in large volumes, there was this tremendous encouragement, because it was this sense that actually people really do care. They really do if they're given the choice. And sadly, we very often don't give people that choice. It's a choice based on price or availability. And I mean, we won't make something unless we believe we can make it better. And we try. We try every time that we've released something. We have to somehow believe that we can do it better. But what we refuse to do is to then launch something that's just different. And there's tremendous pressure to do that. But no, we want it to be better and to perform, to functionally be better, to have utility that surpassed, the previous product. And yes, there's not one screw that we've made, we don't assemble off-the-shelf components. Everything we have made specifically for the job that we're trying to solve there. As designers, we are living, and we have to be comfortable living in the future where your gaze rests right out there, your preoccupation's there. And there's this strange tendency that you tend to dismiss sort of the now and history. And one of the things is funny, the creative process and faith. And that's a word that comes up a lot when we're working, which is, of course, we're the product of having more experience because we've been doing this for a long time. But because of how unpredictable, you can't take, many of my colleagues in the organization that I work in can apply this number of people for this amount of time and be fairly confident, fairly sure on what the outcome will be, except what we do. We just don't know. And so in that place of feeling really quite vulnerable, one of the things that I've just made really quite a shocking habit of is to pay very, very close attention to the history of how we actually managed to get through. And part of that is to make these declarations about, well, we were exactly here and we thought that was it and the sky was falling. And we're completely convinced in our own personal ineptitude. But it's just wonderful to be able to replay example and example of actually, but by faith, we actually did end up all right. We did figure this out. And part of the human condition, I guess, is that we somehow forget the complete and utter terror and trauma that we go through every time.